What is up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Sakira, aka your favorite cosmic fairy. But if you're not new, you already knew that, period. Welcome to another mindset episode, you guys, where we're going to be talking about your self-concept, what it is, how it affects you, how it impacts your ability to manifest the life that you want. We're getting all the tea, and Spirit is giving it piping hot, so stick around. We're going into it, you guys. Let's say a person asks you, or they say to you, tell me about yourself. What they're really asking you to do is to describe your self-concept. So your self-concept is this. It's literally a composition of the ideas, thoughts, beliefs, and feelings that you feel about yourself, that you identify with on an individual level. And it really happens within the subconscious mind, within that space. It governs everything from your self-worth to how you see yourself, how you view yourself, how other people perceive you, the types of people you attract into your life, and also the types of experiences you have in your life. You guys, when I say your self-concept is so important, it's the inner explanation that determines the outer experiences. So how do you know what your truest self-concept is, on a really, really deep subconscious level? With no BS, no sugarcoat in it. We're getting it honest and raw on this channel. What is your truest self-concept? Well, the universe is never going to lie. The universe is always going to give you the tea. It's always going to be piping hot. You got to look at your life, because the things, the experiences, the people that are manifesting in your life, that are being attracted into your life, are a direct result of your self-concept. So let's go with a couple of examples just so I can give you guys some clarity. Look at your finances, right? The amount of money that you make is directly tied to the beliefs that you have about your ability to make money. And when I say your ability, I don't mean like the world's ability. Oh, well, most people make this. No, I'm talking about what you feel is actually possible for you. That will determine how much money you specifically make when it comes to working a job, earning income, all of those things. Let's talk about relationships. Look at your past relationship history. What kind of partners did you attract? How did they treat you? How did they show up for you? How did you show up for them, right? That will tell you a lot about what you feel like you're worth attracting romantically into your life. What is your romantic value? That is a part of your self-concept. Another one, let's talk about your career. Are you working your dream job currently, or are you working a job that, your limiting beliefs are telling you this is all you're capable of doing? You don't have the degrees, you don't have the certifications, you don't have the accolades. You can't get a high-paying job or a higher-paying job, right? Like, you got to look at what's going on, and that will tell you exactly the types of beliefs that you're walking with that determine all of these factors for you. So let me give you guys a personal example for me. Now, never in my life, in my 30 years of being on this planet, did I think that I would ever own or start a business, especially a spiritual-based business, right? Because for me, I grew up hearing things like, it's hard to make money with a business. It's hard to get a business up and running. Most small businesses fail within the first year of operation. You can't support yourself, if you start a business, things like that. And so for me, the primary source, you guys, was like my family. So my grandmother had her own business. And honestly, her business was bomb. Like, if TikTok was a thing back then, she would have went viral. She made like baked goods and like also centerpieces for people. And they were so elegant and so beautiful. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know. She just figured it out, and she put some things together, and then boom, like she just started selling them, right? But as a kid, I would always think to myself, like, why is my grandmother not making more money? Why is she not having more clients? Like, or, sometimes she would get clients and then they would like flop on her or whatever. And I'm like, she doesn't deserve that. Like, why? Like, her stuff is so good. Like, as a kid, this was my perception. My mom, she didn't own a business, but she just kind of had a set mindset, right? She's a Leo. She's very fixed in her mindset. But to her, based on the things that she's observed throughout her lifetime, it was hard to start a business. She's watched people start businesses and they failed, right? She's heard things on the news and, read articles, magazines, whatever, that have talked about small businesses failing and the stats on that. So for her, she's like, I got a daughter. I got to make sure she knows about the world, make sure she's prepared. Let me make her aware of how the world functions. Be mindful of people that want to try to protect you and try to tell you how the world works, right? That's a whole nother topic, you guys. But she did so with love, both her and my grandmother. And I say that to say I became a person who identified with those beliefs. So fast forward to adult years, right? I have a spiritual awakening, and then I decided I want to start a business. It was so hard, you guys, to get that business up and running the first like year or two, because I was working through so many beliefs that were instilled in me throughout my childhood about what business was really like. So now I have done the shifting of the identity work, and I'm still working through some things, but I've done a lot of the work, and it feels very easy to show up as a CEO. It feels very easy to show up as somebody who owns a brand, right? Like, it just takes the shifting of the self-concept, which means replacing of limiting beliefs with more positive ones, so that you can begin to identify as somebody who now sees themselves as capable of doing and accomplishing more. So since your self-concept determines everything, you guys, from, the way you walk, to the way you dress, to the things you eat, to, how you speak to yourself, to the way that people show up for you, to the types of experiences you have in your life, it determines all of that. We now can ask ourselves the question, like, how did we get this specific self-concept that we now have? How do we adopt this particular self-image or self-perspective, right? It really ties back into that example I gave about me with my mother and my grandmother. Throughout the course of your life, you've heard all kinds of things from all kinds of people in all kinds of places, and all of those things, after them being repeated over and over and over, begin to sink into the depths of the subconscious mind, and then what happens? That becomes a part of your self-concept. But let's go into the 3 roles that your subconscious mind plays when it comes to or in correspondence with your self-concept. So number 1, your subconscious mind is where 95% of your thoughts circulate, and therefore it governs or controls 95% of your behavior. Number 2, the subconscious mind can only accept and receive. The subconscious mind, when we talk in terms of like spirituality, it is feminine energy, which means it takes things in, it is receptive, versus masculine energy like the conscious mind, where it pushes things out. It is an energy giver. Number 3, your subconscious mind controls your emotions, and it controls your vibration and your frequency, you guys. So when you are trying to raise your vibration, when you're trying to raise your frequency, it's not done consciously. That's why they say meditation, because you really tap in with the subconscious mind through things like that, right? The subconscious mind is where all of those magical energies kind of lie, and that's what you want to work with if you want to begin to raise and, expand that energy. So at this point, I think it's safe to say whatever gets fed into the subconscious mind plays such a huge role and has such a big impact on the person you are and the characteristics that you embody on a day-to-day basis. The reality of it, you guys, is that we live in a world that is constantly feeding us information, right? We're constantly taking things in, and this is what people refer to as programming. We're constantly being programmed, whether it's by TV, by music, by what people are saying. We're constantly taking things in and formulating new beliefs based on what we're exposed to and experiencing. It's almost like when you download, a program on your computer, your subconscious mind would be the supercomputer, and all of the beliefs that you're choosing to identify with are the programs that are running that supercomputer. Now, funny enough, you guys, most of the time our self-concept is really based on the things that we have been exposed to and the things that we've seen happening over and over at a very young age. And if you really pay attention, you might notice that a lot of your programming, a lot of your, self-identity, self-concept beliefs really match and resonate with those of your parents or like authority figures that you had growing up that really played a significant role in your life. And that's simply because these people were the primary source that we saw, that first initial exposure to life and to reality that we observed, that showed us this is what you can do, this is what is possible. And a lot of the times the way that these people lived their lives and the things that they did, those are the things we tend to imprint, or the things that tend to get imprinted into our subconscious minds. And then we start to slowly begin to repeat those same things, because again, what gets impressed into the subconscious mind is going to unfold in your physical realm. Labels is such a big part of how you identify yourself, right? There's all types of labels out there, some good, some not so good. Things like, oh, I'm unlucky, or I'm just not good at this, right? Like things that we use to describe ourselves. But what I've actually noticed, you guys, is that in talking to people, a lot of people say those kinds of things unconsciously. It's almost like an automated response. They don't even realize what they're saying. They're just saying it because they've believed it for so long. It's true for them, right? And what's true for you is true for you. Everybody has, their own personal belief systems and things that resonate as true for them. I know a big one for me personally used to be the word or the label clumsy. Like anytime I would drop something or break something accidentally, you guys, the first thing I'm affirming is, oh my God, I'm so clumsy, right? And that came from watching my mom when I was little. she affirmed the same thing to herself, and she would drop a lot of things, right? So I guess over time, you could say I adopted those things because it was fed to me quite a bit, like not intentionally. She just thought she was clumsy, but these are the things that our subconscious mind is always looking to pull from our environment, from our experiences. But going back to me feeling like I was clumsy, I truly believed, like my core belief was I am a clumsy person. So I began to generate thoughts that generated feelings that align with me being clumsy. And anytime you have thoughts and feelings that are aligned with something, you know that the action is bound to follow. That is a universal law. But I want to dive a little bit deeper, right? Let's talk about how your self-concept impacts your sense of self-worth. The truth is, you guys, you will only ever feel as worthy as the beliefs that you hold about yourself tell you you are, right? Like your self-concept is going to dictate how worthy you get to feel. That's how powerful this energy is. So let's say you hold this belief that, money is hard to come by. You literally will not be able to attract a certain level of financial resources just based on the fact that you believe this to be true about yourself. That's how powerful your beliefs are. The thing about it is this, you guys. At the root of it, that is a belief that is telling you that you aren't worth or worthy of a certain amount of money. It might even be the same belief telling you that you can't surpass a certain dollar amount as far as your income. Self-worth is really just the value you place on yourself, and it's directly tied to your ability to receive. Like we all know that one person who has trouble receiving, right? Whether it's receiving a favor, a compliment, love for some people, right? And it's because deep down inside, in the intrinsic nature of who they are telling themselves that they don't feel worthy of good things. They don't feel worthy of the compliment. They don't feel worthy of the favor. And so therefore they push it away. But just know this, having low self-worth will have you blocking your blessings. The universe literally can't give you something that you don't feel worthy of receiving. Now, it's not that the universe can't give you certain things. The universe itself isn't limited. It's you that's choosing to limit yourself with certain beliefs that you're choosing to embody and to adopt. So just know that when you're not getting what you want, it's not because the universe can't or doesn't want to. It's because there's some part of you on a deep level that might be resisting whatever it is that you're asking for. But not to worry, you guys. Look, you can actually create a brand new self-concept right now. When I say right now, I mean right now. You don't have to continue to live with the limiting beliefs that you've had all your life. You can literally choose in this moment to make a change. And the minute that you really commit to the change, the minute that you really embody and embrace this change, you will see so many things flip for you in your personal reality, you guys. And it doesn't take a lot of time. I'm talking about, I've seen changes within 2 days of me just doing some really serious self-concept work. So let's talk about it, you guys. Now, first things first, when it comes to changing your self-concept, when it comes to changing your identity, you want to start by taking account and taking note of where you currently are. Think of it this way. When you are putting an address in your GPS, right? You don't just put an address and then just go. You got to tell the GPS where you are now and tell the GPS where you're looking to go so it can calculate the best route for you to get there. Does that make sense? So by taking into account where you are right now and the things that are happening in your life and the things that you really want to change, it'll help you to get really, really clear on what it is you need to do to get where you want to be. Which brings me to my solution for you guys. The brain dump method. So I spoke about this in a previous episode where I spoke about your thoughts creating your reality. But I'll do a little recap for you guys. So basically a brain dump is when you really sit with yourself and you get super clear and super honest and super intentional about identifying your self-concept, right? So you look at your life. You write down, I make this amount of money. Now, when you write that down, you're going to feel one way about it or another, right? Maybe you make, let's say, $50,000 a year. But you really want to make $120,000 a year. When you look at that statement, I make $50,000 a year, you'll know if you feel limited by that statement or if you feel expanded by that statement. If that $50,000 mark feels limiting, you feel like you want more, you desire more, but maybe you don't feel like you can achieve it, you know that's a limiting belief. We got to work on that, right? These are just examples. But the intention of this brain dump is to get really, really clear on what it is you have going on right now so you can get even more clear on where you're going and how you're about to get there. So after you do this brain dump method, after you write down, everything that's going on with yourself, and you really want to focus on the things that you want to change, you guys, you really want to focus on, the things that you want to see shift in your reality. Like if you have things going on and you're fine with them and you like how they are, you don't really need to brain dump those because those are not the things that you're really looking to change. You want to talk about and focus on the things that you really want to see big shifts and big changes happen in those areas of your life, right? So after you get all of that written down, you get all of that laid out on the piece of paper, you want to visualize, you guys. The power of the imagination is also linked to the subconscious mind. It is so powerful, you guys. It is so magical in its essence. Like just sitting down in a daydream, sitting down and visualizing what life looks like when you are living your best life, when you are the best version of you. That right there will start to invoke a lot of feeling, especially if you're really in tune with the daydream or really in tune with that visualization process. You'll start to really invoke certain feelings and certain energies that are just going to naturally start to drive you in certain directions. Going back to that example with the GPS, no pun intended, but literally you'll be driven or guided in certain directions that are going to lead you right to where you're looking to be. Going back to that first question that I asked in the beginning of this video, tell me about yourself. You guys, most people can't even answer that question with like genuine responses, with deep, authentic responses, right? Typically people give like very surface level answers to those types of questions. And that's simply because most people haven't gone deep enough within themselves to be aware of that 95% of who they actually are. They just know that 5%, which is why it comes across as surface level. But after doing this exercise, you guys are gonna be pros at telling people exactly who you are. You're about to get so clear on the reality that you wanna live and the person that you need to be in order to exist in that reality, right? So as you are now envisioning what's going on, start asking yourself these questions. And I like to get general first, right? So what do you do for a living? How much money do you make? Whether it's weekly, monthly, yearly, right? Where do you live? What kind of car do you drive? Are you single? If not, what kind of partner do you have? How do they treat you? How do you treat them? What's your family like? Questions like this, you guys, there's so many other questions that you can, begin to ask yourself, but those are just some really good starting points because they kind of capitalize on, I would say, like the majority of like the desire points for most people, or at least in my experience, like as a coach and what I've noticed with people. But then you want to get a little bit more specific. Questions like, what kind of foods do I eat? What are my daily habits? What does a typical day in my life look like? You guys, the more specific you get with this part, the better. You want to get as crystal clear, especially with that day in a life. You want to get as crystal clear and start to loop that visual over and over because guess what? It's playing out in the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is eating it up. Sure is eating it up. Now, here's the part where you want to start writing things down. After you sat with yourself and you've completed this image of what a day in your life looks like or what the best version of yourself looks like, you've gotten it down to a T. You want to write it all down on a piece of paper now. Now, you guys, you can write it in your phones if you want to, but for me, what I noticed is that there is something so powerful about writing something with your hand on a piece of paper. It's like the subconscious mind really takes it in when you do it that way. And then boom, it kind of sets in and things start to unfold from there. But you want to write it down in present tense. You can do it as a scripting kind of exercise, or you can just write it all out, right? Like as if you're just talking to yourself. I am such and such. I make this amount of money a year. This is the job that I have, all in the present tense. And that shouldn't take too long, you guys. You're just going to write it out. I mean, unless you got a lot of self-concept work to do, it might take a couple pages. But, after you get it all down on paper, the next thing you want to do is pull from that new self-concept affirmations that you can repeat to yourself on a daily basis throughout the entirety of the day that are going to keep you in the mindset of this new self-concept. So let me give you an example. So an affirmation you could state if you're looking to manifest love and you're looking to become the version of yourself who has a healthy partner. You could say, I'm so happy that I have a healthy, loving, romantic partner who always treats me like I'm the absolute prize. Or if you want more money or you want a successful business, you could say, I'm the luckiest person I know. I literally have such a successful business. I'm always exceeding my financial goals every single month. Like, these are affirmations you want to pull from this new self-concept, and you want to kind of rinse, wash, and repeat those on autopilot if possible throughout the day, because the more you say it to yourself, the more you affirm it to yourself, the more your subconscious mind is taking it in, and digesting, right? The whole point, you guys, is that we want to change our inner conversation. We want to change our inner self-talk. So your self-talk is just the way you speak to yourself on a daily basis, right? But your self-talk is directly tied to your self-concept. So you have people who have negative self-talk, and I'll give you an example. A person who wakes up and they don't like the way that they look on that particular day. So they say something like, oh my God, I hate the way I look. That right there is you affirming you don't like how you look, and the universe doesn't understand, metaphors or jokes or comedy. It's taking it in exactly how you give it, piping high, right? So it's gonna feed that back to you. You might wake up the next day and realize you hate how you look then too, right? Another example, let's say you're at work and you drop the ball, you miss a deadline and it was important. And a person has a thought to themselves like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. How could I be so stupid to miss this deadline? You are literally affirming with your self-talk that you are not a smart person. And although you may not necessarily mean it to harm yourself, it might just be the truth of how you feel about yourself in the moment. The universe is always listening. Your subconscious mind is always taking in that information, you guys. Being careful, being intentional, and being calculated is what we're gonna do at this point, right? Moving forward. With changing your inner conversation, you guys, and with changing your inner self-talk, you really wanna make sure that the thoughts you think and the things you're saying are aligned with the version of yourself you want to become and not the version of yourself that you're looking to shed. So lastly, you guys, the last thing you wanna do is you want to begin to take physical action as the version of yourself who is this new self-concept. So for example, let's say you write down, in your brain dump, I'm lazy, I never exercise. So your new self-concept is, I'm a person who does Pilates every single day. Let's say you look up Pilates classes and they cost a little too much for you right now, right? Don't get caught on, well, I can't go to Pilates classes, so therefore I can't do Pilates every day. The whole purpose of this exercise, you guys, or this part of the exercise, is to solidify into the subconscious mind with repeated physical action that you are the person you are claiming to be, you are affirming to be. So a good suggestion for something like that would be go on YouTube and do some Pilates videos for free at home. It doesn't matter if you're at the paid class or if you're doing it for free in your living room. Your subconscious mind is saying, I'm doing Pilates. Therefore, your subconscious mind is taking it in, I must be a person who does Pilates, especially if it's something you do on a frequent basis. Or say, for instance, if your self-concept now looks like, you meditating every day when you first get up with a cup of tea, make sure you wake up every day with a cup of tea and you meditate. Maybe your self-concept drinks herbal tea, but all you got is Lipton. Make it work with the Lipton. Your conscious mind is still taking in the fact that you are meditating with tea when you get up. Therefore, your subconscious mind is taking it in. If you got the herbal tea, drink the herbal tea, but use what you have is what I'm saying, you guys. Be resourceful, be creative. Showing up as the new version of yourself requires, the thoughts, the speech, the action, and the emotions to all be in alignment with that one new identity that you're looking to embody. Especially in terms of like being triggered, right? Showing up as this version of you who, let's say, no longer gets triggered by certain things, right? You have to then begin to embody that same mind frame. You have to feel those emotions of somebody who's not triggered by something. You guys know I'm gonna say it, nervous system regulation is gonna help you do it every time. But I just say that to say, you guys, like self-concept can really be altered with those few simple steps. And it sounds like a lot, but when you do it, I promise you the process is so quick. It can be so smooth and so effortless. Affirm that it will be very smooth and effortless for you. But it's something that is necessary, you guys, because if not, you will continue to manifest the current reality you have on autopilot because you're not doing anything to intentionally change the inner environment. So you guys, this is what I have for you. Thank you so much for vibing, tuning in, sharing time, space, and energy. If this made sense for you, don't forget to comment down below. Share this with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend, repost this on your social medias. I really want to see this channel grow, glow, and expand, you guys. So help me, help us. And until next time, you guys, I love you so much. I'm sending you guys all the love, all the good vibes, all the positive energy. If you guys have any specific questions about, self-concept work that you want to leave down in the comments below for me, feel free to do that and I'll definitely get back to you. But until next time, I love you and peace out.